if you spend more to acquire a job than the job generates, right, you'll be out of business quickly. And so, in the simplest terms, the technician is the one that controls how profitable the outcome of the job is.
Welcome to the Waste No Day podcast, a podcast specifically for and about the home services industry as it relates to plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. More than a podcast, Waste No Day is a credo, a determination, a mindset. It is a never-ending discipline. It is a refuse to lose pursuit. It is a wake-up call every morning to waste no day. Now here's your hosts, Brian Burton and Nate Minnick.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Waste No Day podcast. Your host, Nate and Brian, hanging out with you again. Looking forward to returning guest. That's right. We brought him back again. Mr. Jim Leslie is joining us for part 2, where we dig even deeper into the concepts that he started with. We're excited to bring him back on the show today because everybody could use more leads. And it's not even just about the leads. It's also what you're doing with them. So we're going to be talking about the idea of stop chasing, start converting, maximizing your current leads and finding more. And we're bringing Jim back on, who has a lot of experience in making sure that you're getting the most out of the leads and then converting them into what matters most to you. It's going to be a good conversation, and we're looking forward to spending some time again with Jim. But before we do, we're going to kick it off with a little bit of an introduction with just the two of us. We're going to look to Brian for our quote.
People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. Simon Sinek.
That one's going to make me think for a little bit there, Brian.
Well, while you think about the difference between two people in sales. One of them walks into the room thinking about numbers. He's calculating commission. He's hoping for revenue. He's focused on what he can get out of this transaction. He's in a slump, man. And he's got to break this slump. He's got a mortgage to pay after all. Now, he knows the product's good for you, right? But that's not really his focus. His focus is on what you buying this product can do for him, right? And then there's another tech. I'm going to say she for this one because it just fits. She walks in fired up about what she is selling. Why? Because she's seen what it has done for others and they believe in it. She's focused on what she can give. She can't wait to talk about how it's changed someone else's life. How a client called back a month later just to say thank you. How confident she is that you, yes, you are about to love this product just as much as they did. And here's the thing. Which one would you rather buy from? Which one would you trust? More importantly, which one are you becoming? That's the energy we're stepping into today, lady and gentlemen. Probably like, well, maybe there's 2 or 3 ladies. It's about belief. It's about alignment. And it's about becoming the type of person that people genuinely move towards saying yes to. Because that's just what feels right when people talk to you.
That's profound and a good way to start off the conversation here, Brian. And I'm thinking through some of those things. Absolutely, the second person is who I'm looking to buy from. I love that firsthand experience. And as somebody, we've talked about this on the show more than once, but as somebody who, for a while, I didn't have water conditioning. Now I have water conditioning. It would be very hard for me to take that out of my house or move to a house where it didn't have it and just never put it back in, because you get that, it's water treatment. We're not exactly talking about like a Ferrari here. This isn't sexy, but like it becomes part of what you want, or water quality, an RO system. Like it becomes something that you taste, something that you desire. And it's not necessarily flashy, but I tell you what, I've told more people about water conditioning in the last 2 years than I probably have it ever in my life. And not from the angle of like, hey, you should really get this because it's going to protect your pipes. That would have been me, 7 years ago. logically. Now it's from the angle of like, yo, like when I drink my water, it tastes delicious. And I don't have to worry about what's in it. And I know it's going to taste good every single time. When I take my shower, you know, I can tell when the salt runs out and I need to go downstairs and fill up the bin again, because I can tell, like, it's a different experience. And I prefer the one with the salt, and I prefer the suds and everything else. And so, speaking from it, not only from a sense of firsthand experience, but the passion that comes with those products, that experience, and then being able to, you know, Brian Tracy would say, transfer that enthusiasm. You know, that's the excitement, right?
Preaching, bro. Preaching. Yeah. We got to get you out in a truck, my man, testing some water. For sure. Yeah. That's the difference. The difference is you experienced it. You're selling everything you just said. You're selling hard right now. You're such a scumbag, Nate, selling people. You should just be a tech. Yeah, you were really selling in the way that selling is meant to be. You know the life-changing effect of this product, and that is how you share info about that product. Versus the tech going out there thinking about commission and selling by reading from an invisible manual, which is you have X amount of hardness, you need ion exchange. There's X amount of chlorine. You need activated carbon filtration to remove said chlorine and the disinfectant byproducts that cause trihalomethanes, which are carcinogens. It's like, dude, you wouldn't buy from you. It's the tech that will never record him or herself doing a presentation or role play. Jump in that frickin' BCC, bluecollarcloser.com, baby. Jump in that community and record yourself role playing on your phone and throw it in there. You don't even have to watch it. Just throw it in there and let everybody else do the work for you. Right? But the question is, record yourself doing something like that and then watch it back and be objective and go, would I be so moved by the explanation of the benefits of this product that I would buy it? And if the answer is no, which chances are it is, and that's fine. That's what it's supposed to be early in your selling career. Right? Then the question is, well, how do I get it to a point where the answer would be yes? And if you need help doing that, then that's why you jump in bluecollarcloser.com. Or what we got Mr. Leslie back for week 2 to talk about, because we didn't talk very much about it last week. It's homeservicefreedom.com. And check out the event. I'll be doing a first day training for sounding like several hundred technicians and salespeople in the home services, all about.
Well, at least that's what they told you.
Yeah. It's just gonna be me and you, bro. Oh, you're not even going. Ah, crap! I'm gonna be by myself.
Very intimate.
Yeah, it's gonna be us training on sales and presentation and how to do this thing and role playing like the beasts that we are, like getting all the nerves out in front of a bunch of our peers so we don't have them when we go talk to the client, like grown-ups. And then 2 days of like just the baddest minds in the home services. Tommy Mello and Jim Leslie and Paul Kelly and Leland Smith and my mentor, one of my first mentors, Ken Goodrich, who I'm very proud to get to see every time I get to see him. It's exciting, which is crazy though, because every time I see him, and I've known him for 21 years, he looks younger, which is weird. Well, it helps that he lost 100 pounds and gained a whole new life, quit drinking, quit kind of overeating, and really started taking care of himself. But it's really cool to see because the dude literally looks younger every time I see him. But get to go hang out with these absolute monsters of the industry. And I'll be not just doing the first day, full day training, but this third day, I'll be on a panel on the main stage with freaking one of the founders of the Benjamin Franklin Plumbing Network, Ellen Rohr, and Tommy and Jim. And we'll be doing a panel and probably a Q&A if I had to guess, which is I'm pretty pumped about. But yeah, getting to rub shoulders with all these people. But then probably the biggest thing that happened for you and me, the first one of these we went to, was the networking outside of it. It's the meeting of the other people that are doing what we do, trying to do what we do, maybe doing it at a little lower capacity, and some doing it 100 times literally better than we're doing it. And you meet all these people and network with them and get contact information. You keep in touch with them. And we built massive relationships through this. And the vendor showcase is always amazing because you see all these products and services that you didn't know exist. And some of these can be bolted on to the business to help out. But I don't know. I don't think there's ever been any one of these for me that even came close to the relationships that I've had the opportunity to build by just being out in the hallway and mingling.
Well, definitely a great opportunity to rub shoulders with some amazing people, Brian, and so glad that you're going to have the opportunity to do some training yourself. That's very exciting, and you deserve all of that opportunity. What else we're really excited about, and something that we always love doing on our shows, is spending some time taking a moment to read a review that somebody's left for us. We really appreciate this because it reminds us not only of the impact of the show, but of how each one of you listening is winning in the field right now. And that is winning for us. We love hearing those stories. So, Brian, who are we highlighting this week?
Very insightful. 5 stars. I recently started listening to the Waste No Day podcast. The title is aptly chosen. Nate, text me what that means. As each episode I have experienced has provided me with actionable insights that enable me to transform even the most challenging day into success while enhancing already positive days. Featuring a remarkable array of guests, this podcast is sure to broaden your knowledge and resources, allowing you to enhance your performance regardless of your existing level of expertise. Whew, my ears are smoking. Tony TBCA. TBCA. Something, California.
To be
continued, eh? Oh, sorry. He's Australian.
Well, hey, I mean, if he wants to continue with that review, that was great. I loved it. Nice review.
Yeah, buddy, keep going. Yeah, that was good stuff. I appreciate it. I'm like just kind of going back over it. Titles aptly. Yeah. So enabling me to transform the most challenging days into successes while enhancing the already positive days. That's phenomenal.
I tell you what, kudos to our listeners. They're starting to use ChatGPT to generate the reviews. That's great.
You guys sound really smart. That was December 16th of 2024. That review was left, and always funny to me when a review is that like profound. I go, I wonder if he's still listening. He's leaving a review for another podcast right now. He forgot all about us. Appreciate the love, Tony TBCA. And if you would be so kind, if you feel the same about the podcast, maybe it's not that good, but maybe you're like, yeah, it's better than nothing. Then just go ahead and leave us a review. You can even put that in there. Better than nothing. But make sure you hit the 5 stars. Right.
I would love that.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'd be okay with that review. That one would get read for sure. Yeah. No, I say that. There's been actually no review that didn't get read yet. We gave somebody a little chastisement for writing a review and hitting the 4-star button. And I believe he said 5 stars in the thing, meaning he mistakenly hit 4 stars. We chastised him a little bit and he fixed it and got his review read twice.
Wow.
We won't do that for you. So don't you hit that 4-star button.
Agreed. Well, I tell you what, you're probably going to want to hit the 5-star on this episode. As we bring Jim Leslie back, he's going to talk more to us about converting those leads that we worked so hard on last week. It's time now to put Mr. Jim Leslie in your passenger seat. Our guest today returning is Mr. Jim Leslie. He is the Chief Operating Officer of Home Service Freedom, the event that Brian was just talking about. In addition to being the COO, he is also the CEO of several successful businesses. He knows what it takes to build, lead, grow companies in the real world, and he's passionate about using that experience to help members of Home Service Freedom win. Whether it's strategic planning, team structure, or dialing in your brand, he is always available to help build something sustainable, scalable, and truly successful. We're looking forward to the return of Mr. Jim Leslie and the conversation that goes with it. Welcome back, Jim.
Great to be here, guys. Appreciate it.
So we had some talk last week based on doing more with the leads we have and not being so obsessed with getting more leads when our conversion rates aren't in place, our ticket average isn't where it needs to be. and probably cutting holes in a boat to save a sinking ship, so to speak, by spending more marketing dollars when you don't have a good conversion rate. So we kind of worked through that a bit. Today, I thought it would be good to talk about how to get more leads once we've started getting the conversion rate and the ticket average dialed in. So what does it look like from kind of high level? We won't spend too much time there, as a lot of the people listening are techs and salespeople in the field, but let's talk to the managers and owners a bit as well and start a little bit higher level with how do we just start by immediate impact? What are some levers that can be pulled from the office to get more calls on the board, as you see as low hanging fruit in some operations?
Immediate levers to pull. Happy calls, calling, existing client base, right? Even following up on recent jobs and asking for referrals through a happy call. I mean, all of that can generate immediate traffic.
Have you actually heard calls of CSRs asking for referrals from happy clients on a happy call?
Yeah.
What does that conversation sound like?
Yeah. I mean, they ask them how the job goes, get some feedback. If it's positive, just say, hey, do you happen to, know anybody else, friends, family, maybe in your community that needs that service? When you do a great job, customers want to help you get more work, but they need to have an avenue to do it, right? That same person who's happy, they might go, tell their friends, hey, I just had this service done. Boy, the guy was great, blah, 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 organically, right? Or they're out talking to friends and a friend mentions they need something done. And they're like, oh yeah, I had a person, do this service. They were great. So just prompting them with like, hey, do you know anybody that could use our service? A lot of people are happy to do it.
What do you think about? And yeah, that's great. And if people will actually do that, I mean, you think about what you're paying for a lead right now in most of the home services.
Yeah, you might half it or third it if you get a couple of referrals, right?
Yeah, and you're at least the referrals they're about to give you cost you nothing but a quick conversation. But what about asking clients to do things like, we have the question we start in the beginning and say at the end of this visit, I'm going to ask you to give me a 5-star review. If I do anything between now and then that makes you feel like I don't deserve a 5-star review, could you do me a favor and I'm doing the little timeout hand say, could you just tell me hey, I didn't care for that or knock it off. And it's the only way I'm going to get better. So I'm giving you full permission to call me out if that's the case. And they'll say yes. And then at the end of the call, we would just say something like, hey, I don't remember you stopping me to say that I did anything that was taken away from that 5-star review. Do you feel like I earned a 5-star review from you today? Did I provide a 5-star level of service? And if they say yes, then we say, would you mind filling a review out for me? And we get it while we're standing there, because otherwise it's never going to happen. But what about tacking on something to that, like not just asking for a couple people, but what about everybody's in one of those next door app groups or Facebook neighborhood groups. The neighborhood I'm in now, the one that I left in Pennsylvania, both had Facebook groups. Everybody's in there posting all the time. Is that something you train people to tag on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That and Nextdoor, are huge, right? In some ways, Nextdoor is generating a lot more, in some areas, a lot more referrals than Facebook groups. So, but yeah, there's no reason you can't ask the customer, hey, could you go there and, put in a good word, post a picture of your new, garage door, HVAC unit, whatever it is. I mean, people will do it if you just ask. If it's the law of reciprocity, right? If you gave them a great service and they're super happy with what you did, asking them to do a couple things, they're not going to have a problem doing it.
Yeah, well, they're certainly not going to kick us out, even if they say, I'm not into it.
Yeah, worst thing they can do is say no, right? Oh, hey, I don't like to post stuff online. Okay, hey, no big deal. We talked in last week's episode. I had the unique perspective of starting selling in the home, right? I used to ask people to like take me and introduce them to their neighbors, right? Hey, I couldn't help but notice, and often this is, it just made a sale, right? I couldn't help but notice that the house across the street seems to have some of the same problems that yours does. Do you know their name, right? Oh, yeah, that's Mrs. Jones. I mean, could you introduce me? Do you have 5 minutes? Could we walk over there and knock on her door and you could explain what I'm doing for you? And people would do it, you know? Now, sometimes they hated the neighbor. They'd be like, oh, I'm not going over there, right? But a lot of times they'd say, oh, yeah, she's a sweetheart. Let's walk over. So, and doing that, I was doing that physically in person. Doing that digitally, is way, way less barrier to entry, right?
Yeah, when you're talking about posting on Nextdoor or dropping me in a text chat with your neighbor and just letting them know about the service you had done. And I'll see then from there if there's anything I can do to help them. It's such a small step. And I hope there are people listening to this right now who are on their way to a call or maybe even at a call. I know a lot of people have said they keep an earbud in while they're actually doing install work, listening to Waste No Day. And that's a great time to hear and think about something like this. It's just company and marketing dollars aside, if you're just a tech and you're not concerned about that kind of thing for your team, although that's a very short-sighted attitude. But let's say that's the case. How about yourself and your own personal brand? If you're starting to get known by people and their neighbors that you're asking them to introduce you to, either in person or virtually or on a text or whatever, what are you doing for your own personal brand when you do that? Especially if you do it on every call where you've made a client very happy. So look, if it's a 6 out of 10 and you just can't please this dude, cool. Don't do it on that one. But you should still ask for the review and find out what you did and if there's a way you can fix it. But on the ones that you make ecstatic, and we all have them, hopefully most of our clients, but on those in particular, you go extra hard on getting them to introduce you to people.
I think it's a good point, Brian, and especially for those of our audience that are listening that are sole proprietors, like where they are part of Brian Burton Plumbing, Nate Minnick HVAC, where your name is your brand. And like, I think if you work for a larger company, that part is lost on you because, there's a tendency to think that you're one of dozens or one of hundreds or however big your company is. And so what difference do you make? Well, that's not really the case. Now, it may not be your name on the right side of your chest, but your name is probably on the left side of your chest, right? And that one matters just as much as the other one does in terms, especially on the review side. Like we're running a review contest right now, and the number of times that a technician's name gets mentioned in the review, either by request or just organically, is amazing. And so while the review is getting posted for, such and such HVAC or whatever, Jim's name is in the review. Jim was my technician today. In fact, people are way more inclined to review Jim the technician than they are Jim's company. And so I think, Brian, when you talk about branding and you talk about the ability to generate more calls, if you get good as a technician at asking for the review, at asking for the business, at developing a great process and an exceptional customer experience, you personally will not lack for calls. Whether it's at your company or the next company or your personal company or wherever you're going, you will not lack for calls because the results and the return on the investment will be present. Do you agree with that sentiment, Jim?
Oh, 100%. And, I was just thinking those referral calls from self-generated leads, I mean, they convert at a way higher percentage, tend to be better sales too, at least in my experience, right? If the referral has a legitimate need and they just got introduced by their neighbor or their friend or whoever it is, everybody wants to have a guy now, right? Like nobody wants to deal with like a nameless, faceless corporation, right? They want to have a guy. They want to know that they trust somebody, right? And that's easy for, the sole proprietors, like you said, because they are the guy, right? But the bigger companies, what they struggle with is like, it's trust. Who's coming into my home? What is this person? Are they qualified? Are they going to do a good job? Are they safe and all of that? And when you've built that rapport, leveraging it by asking for some referrals, you're the guy. And if that referral has a need, oh, this is Nate's guy, Jim. Like, there's no question who I'm going to use, right? I've got the guy now. So that's why it pays to ask for those.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the guy, so whether your company is large enough to have a marketing person dedicated, or whether it's you or somebody, serving with multiple hats, as it probably is in many companies listening, there is somebody who should be devoted to understanding where lead flow is coming from, right? So last week we talked a lot about valuing the lead. It's also important to value which mountain the gold has been mined from so that you spend your efforts mining the right mountain. Last thing that you want to do is go down an empty pit and try to think that there might be leads there and realize that you're, spending your efforts in a wasteful manner. So, Jim, speaking to, again, technicians here, we do have owners and managers listening as well, but we have a lot of technicians. Why is it important, for technicians in the field to give feedback, or for CSRs on the phone to ask where they found the number today, or to have some type of audit tracking system about where leads are coming from? Why does that matter to me if I'm driving to my next call right now?
Yeah, I mean, all leads are not created equal, right? In quality and in cost, right? And you're trying to get the highest quality leads at the best possible cost, right? But there's always a trade off. And that feedback, whether it's to a marketing department or to owner, or even if it's, you personally, you're dealing with it as a sole proprietor, right? You have to understand, what's coming from this source. What is the quality? Is the cost too low, too high, whatever? And use that to course correct. Speed to lead too is in there, right? Some sources are going to penalize you if you're not responding quickly.
Explain that real quick, Jim. What do you mean speed to lead? What does that mean?
How fast you answer the call, and in some cases, how the call got handled, post answer, right? So, from the client perspective, right, you have these companies, lead aggregators, Angie, what have you, Google. Those companies make money when they connect a consumer that needs a product or service, when they connect them to a business, that pays for the lead, right? That's how they kind of monetize that interaction. And they're in the business of matching a person to a solution, right? So if a call comes in and you don't answer the call, or it takes you a long time to answer the call, the consumer gets frustrated. And for that lead aggregator, it's not just about that call. It's about they want that customer to keep coming back to them for solutions, right? So if you're slow to answer a call, or you don't answer a call, or you miss calls, they're going to penalize you and give you fewer calls.
So back to the concept about understanding, why is it important for a technician to understand where the lead is coming from, or to give that feedback back to their marketing department or somebody back in the office? Why does that matter to a technician driving to a call right now?
Yeah, I mean, you want to get great calls, right? I'm assuming you're incentivized to take care of the customer, do a good job, match them with the right solution, and you're bonused or paid based off of that. Your ability to do that is based on how well that lead is set up to the point it gets into your hands, right? And providing that feedback of, what's going on with it, what happened, what did the call look like? That's invaluable in making those decisions of like, do we need more of those leads, less of those leads? Hey, they're not working out for whatever reason. That's how those teams can course correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, the more of a honey hole that you find in terms of good quality leads, perhaps there's more on the quantity side at that same place. And so that type of feedback can be invaluable for a marketing team or for an owner or somebody who's making those decisions to say, spend the money over here because that's where the value is coming from right now. Which is super because, as we mentioned last week, this is fairly cyclical in nature, where you as a technician listening to this, you want to run good calls. The marketing team wants to provide you with good calls. The good calls provide revenue to spend to get more marketing dollars to get more calls. And it's just round and round that we go. And so, the more people that are pulling in the same direction, the better. The more teams that are working together, the better. Things really start breaking down when marketing and technicians start viewing each other adversarially and nobody talks. Now, nobody really has any idea about what's going on, nor if the leads are good, and everybody gets frustrated. So let's talk a little bit about the idea of training over traffic, Jim. And this is something where we might get a little personal on the technician side here, but talk to us about the idea of training over traffic and why throwing more marketing dollars at untrained technicians is like pouring gas on the wet wood.
Yeah. I mean, from the marketing perspective, they're trying to optimize, performance versus the cost, right? How much did it cost to generate leads? What happened with them after that conversion? And so if good leads are put in the hands of poor technicians, right, they don't convert into jobs, right? Well, marketing dollars, spent have to be effective. And when marketing departments are building budgets, they're counting on certain conversion rates, certain average tickets in order to make the lead spend profitable, right? If you spend more to acquire a job than the job generates, right, you'll be out of business quickly. And so, in the simplest terms, the technician is the one that controls how profitable the outcome of the job is. And if they're not sort of holding up their end of the bargain, right, marketing can't keep generating those leads if they're not getting run profitably.
Right. And for more on that, go back to last week's episode and understand the mindset that you as a technician should be in prior to knocking on that door, because the company spent a lot of money to get you that door knock. Right. And so what you're talking about there, Jim, is the idea of keeping teams rowing in the same direction. So I think what you mentioned there is the idea of having, basically your marketing team and your operations team kind of understanding like these are expected and anticipated returns, and this is how much we're paying for the leads. Does it make sense? Yes. Good. Okay. How many leads can we take? Good. Are we providing the training? Which kind of loops in the sales component then, right? Are we properly setting the technicians up to succeed in the home when we get them the opportunity to knock on a door? All these things have to be working in tandem. And another thing that I think is commonly missed for a lot of companies is communication about the messaging in the marketing, right? Like marketing puts out something that says, hey, it's a buy one, get one off of this product. And the technicians in the field are like, what? I didn't know we were doing that. Like, I've never seen this coupon before. I didn't even know this was something we're offering, right? How can we overcome that?
Yeah, that one is huge, right? Because depending on the strength of the offer, that may be what generated, the lead in the customer's mind, right? If a company has a great offer, customer calls to avail themselves of that offer, then the technician gets out there and goes, I don't know what that is. Wow, that breaks down a lot of trust with the customer who's like, oh, well, this is what I wanted. Why are you telling me about something different, or why don't you know what this is, right? So
Yeah, and I hear this frequently, although I don't know if I've ever actually come across it in the wild or not. But like a lot of franchise fast food chains or restaurants, they'll do this nationwide campaign where it's like, hey, we're serving breakfast until 1 p.m. or something like that, right? Or all day breakfast. And then at the end of the commercial, you hear this little line at participating locations only. And how frustrating would it be for a consumer who, just has a hankering for pancakes at 3 p.m. to walk into the such and such, pancake place to realize that that location is not participating in the campaign, right? And now me as a consumer, I'm frustrated because, well, the only reason I showed up here at 3 p.m. was because I wanted pancakes. And I heard an advertisement saying that you offer
Nate was high
breakfast
as a
all
kite.
day. High as a kite, exactly. So that's why it's so important that the marketing team and the technicians are on the same page with what is being messaged to execute in the field. Otherwise, you run the risk of alienating the consumer who came in on the offer only to be disappointed on the execution.
yeah, and also again, that's another feedback loop, right? Like sometimes, a consumer saw, an ad in one place and then said, oh, that looks pretty good. Then they go look them up on Google to check the reviews and they call. And so the lead source in the CRM, Service Titan, whatever, is Google, but actually it was a print ad or a mailer or something, right? And it's hard to get that granular feedback on every job. But when a tech sees that, right, when they look at their call and it says, oh, it's a Google lead, right? But the customer is holding up an ad, a print ad, and said, wow, this is why I called. That is golden feedback to pass to the marketing department, right? Because I've seen so many good campaigns that get cut because the customer goes to Google to research the company but they were driven there by, a postcard, a mailer, a sign, a thing that's not easily trackable. And, it's the techs in the field, boots on the ground that see that stuff, and passing that info back is golden.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, the feedback loop is so critical, and there should be multiple feedback loops in every organization, specifically around the concept of marketing, messaging, leads, technicians, sales, operations, even dispatch, right, on a capacity standpoint. And so that feedback loop is so valuable because it really proves the efficacy of whatever is going on, or it alerts red flags to things that are broken. For example, if the technicians in the field all of a sudden start getting a bunch of coupons and the expiration date on the coupon is from last month, and like people are like, no, I've never seen this coupon before. Like, this is posted on your website right now. Don't you think that might be valuable to alert the marketing team that, hey, we have an out of date expiration on our coupon?
Wrong, yeah.
Like,
Wrong,
that type of
wrong
feedback loop.
prices. I mean, all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
All that stuff is so valuable. And so again, like, to put this more on the selfish side of things, which is like, what's in it for me as a technician, if we're driving between calls right now, listening to this episode, and we're thinking about, okay, so yeah, this is sort of interesting, but it's also kind of boring. Like, what's the value here? The value is in what? The returning satisfaction of a client this may be their first experience, right? And we all know that you never get a second chance to make a first impression, all that stuff. But how much money and time and energy is spent in acquiring the opportunity to knock on that door, only to have it go south because nobody ever told somebody that this was the offer we were doing, or this was the special we were running, or this was the offer that we were issuing to this lead source, right? So when you think about it from that angle, Jim, what feedback loops, let's assume that we're talking to somebody who they might not even know the marketing department. Like, what would be some good ways to start establishing feedback loops for a technician in the field right now to begin communicating this message back? Because I can tell you, on the office side, it is greatly appreciated and desired to have this type of feedback from the field. But maybe the field listening isn't quite used to it. So how can they begin to start that process?
Yeah, and I think about it, more broadly as I talk a lot to, owners and managers who are trying to, grow and scale their businesses. And one of the fundamental tools that I talk about or visualizations, I'm like, here's the flywheel of growth, like how you grow a home service company. And there's 3 points on here. One is, you need systems, processes, profitable operation. You need a way to get the job done profitably, right? The second stop on the wheel is leads, right? You need leads, and that's what we're talking about now, right? But the third stop is the technician. You need great technicians to run the jobs, run the calls, convert them, and do the work. And if you don't have all three of those things, right, your company's not, it's not going to go anywhere, right? And I think so many times people in the field get sort of siloed of just like, oh, I get the lead and I do the thing, right? But there's so many details of the other parts of the process. What was the lead quality? What happened process wise, and communicating that back to the office, to management, just depending on how your company's structured. I think that's invaluable. And most companies, they want that feedback to get better, right? And that wheel that I'm drawing a wheel here in the air. When I put that slide on the screen, like, the technician is one of the most important parts of it. And if they're not communicating, nobody knows what's happening out there. So,
right. Yeah. And that's a great segue, Jim, into where I want to go next, which is every single person in the company wants more leads. I don't care if you're a CSR, if you're a janitor, if you're a shop technician, if you're a warehouse guy, if you're a technician driving to a call right now, everybody wants more leads. Why? Because more leads equals more revenue equals growth, more growth equals opportunity, more opportunity equals a lot of good things for everybody listening, right? So let's talk real application here. What are some new creative ways? What are some stuff that everybody in the company, from the CEO all the way down to the inline cook, can be focused on to getting more leads on the board?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody can get involved, right? Most companies have some version of a referral program, right? We'll give you business cards if they don't issue them to you. If they don't do it, or maybe they don't do it for your position, I promise you, if you go to your manager and say, "Hey, can the company get me some business cards because I want to go out and recommend the company to friends, family, neighbors, whatever," I would be hard pressed to think that your manager would say no, right?
Right.
To me, that's the dream, right? Like, you want to do that? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what creative ways, can you tie that back in? Is there like a code or some type of special tag that can be applied to know that those leads are coming from Johnny in his neighborhood knocking? I think there's great ways of incentivizing that too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of companies will set up a tracking phone number for each individual, person that's generating referrals on the team, right? We used to create one for every technician, for every person that had a business card, right? And then we could track how many jobs, how many leads were generated, how many calls from each one. So,
Right.
but even if your company doesn't have that type of system, just writing your name on the back of the card, even if it's a general number, will do it.
All right. So that's a good idea for a young, energetic person to kind of get out there and do some organic guerrilla marketing. What about CSRs or outbounders or just general people on the phones? What are some ideas that they can do use besides the obvious, which is answer the phone? Are there any other ways that we could consider how they could develop more leads for the company?
Yeah, I mean, asking for referrals. We talked a little bit about that earlier. On good jobs, calling previous customers, right? Especially if you have downtime, right? I remember talking to a company, smaller company, their leads were down, and I'm like, "How many customers in your database?" I think they said 2,000, 4,000, something like that. I'm like, every minute that somebody's not answering a call them and just say hi, right? And especially if you have some data, hey, it's been a couple of years since we were out to service your unit, right? Manufacturer recommends that we look at that every 12 months. Can we come out and do an inspection for you, right? Tune-up calls, all of that sort of thing. Unless you literally got into business yesterday, you probably have a list of hundreds, if not thousands of customers to call.
Yeah. And for those who did get in business, quote unquote, yesterday,
Sorry,
well,
guys.
well, you're a one man shop and you only have to keep yourself busy most likely, but it is crazy how little it would really take for a decent technician who's making a lot of clients happy on a daily basis to keep his or herself busy by getting referrals and getting clients to do things like post a picture of me and you in your Facebook community, on the next door app in your neighborhood, or on any of the social media profiles at this point, because anyone with a big smile next to my service truck with me and them and their little dog in the picture, if they post it and say, "Hey, call Jay Sleazy's Plumbing." That's what I call Jim Leslie. Call Jay Sleazy's Plumbing to get great service. Had them out today. They fixed my such and such, and I'm so happy they came to the house. It's like, those little things are going to make you very busy. And we're getting more and more techs posting things in the Waste No Day Facebook group, like videos of themselves with the client, because they get the client to shoot a video with them, a picture with the client. But getting that client to post that themselves on 3 platforms to say something like, especially if you say, "Look, I'm fairly new, the business is fairly new," or, "Hey, we're kind of slow right now, but I don't want to personally be slow. So would it be impossible for you to drop this in 3 platforms, maybe your Nextdoor, your Facebook, and your LinkedIn or whatever?" Maybe LinkedIn's not a great one for that, but
Yeah, you kind of said it a little earlier, Brian. Personal brand of the technician, right? And I kind of hinted at it too, right? You're the guy, right? When you become known in your neighborhood or your community, right, you're going to get tons and tons of calls. It's almost like your own little business, right? You're your own little marketing department, self generating leads, and they're going to convert much higher. You're going to make more money. So,
yep, the conversion is going to be better. And to think about the fact that the company is going to save on marketing dollars on those calls might not mean much to the tech right now. On my team, it certainly does, because we talk about marketing dollars literally weekly, every Monday morning, we're bringing this thing back up and we're talking about how we can drive that cost down, but still drive up engagement by new clients and new touches on old clients. But if you don't care now and you ever aspire to be in management or own your own business, you're going to start caring then. And then it's too late. Now you got a whole lot of learning to do and no time to do it. So start getting into this kind of thing now and figure out how you can be a lead generating machine. And then when you go off on your own or when you're leading teams at your current place of employment, you're poised to take them to another level.
Yeah, it's super short-sighted to say, "Oh, I don't care about this thing. That doesn't affect me. That's marketing's problem," right? One of the first jobs I ever had, my manager, was a lot older than me. He was in his 60s. I was like 18. And I said, "Well, here's this thing. I don't know. Should I deal with it? Whatever." And he said, "Look, anything that comes up, is it good for the customer? Is it good for the client? Is it good for the company? Is it good for you? You should worry about it, right?" And that's kind of the mindset you should have, right? Is like, yeah, hey, I'm not responsible for lead costs, but if I can help the team, that's good for me. It's good for the client. It's good for the company. It's good for me. So why not do it?
All right, Jim, tough one here. What about parts runner? How can a parts runner help generate leads for the company?
Oh man, I mean, just hopefully they're driving a branded truck. I mean, that's great, right? Tons of impressions from the vehicle, right? I guess it depends on. I don't want to encourage them to do things that are like outside of the scope of what their management should want, right? But it's like if you're on a street, you just dropped off parts at a house, throw a couple door hangers, or hey, you're at a parts house waiting for something that you could spend a couple minutes passing out cards. I mean, there's so many opportunities to ask for referrals, even personally, their own personal social media, right? They know people, right? Why not post what you do for a living, right? And just become known for that.
Yeah, we talk about this often, and I don't see a lot of people doing it, but and I'm on social media now and I'm posting on or somebody's posting on 6 platforms for me at this point. It's like, yeah, easy for me to say, because there's literally daily posts going out onto 6 platforms of mine. But I do know for a fact that if I was running calls today, I would make myself known as the best plumber in Phoenix or some kind of tagline like that. And all I would do is I'd have one account just dedicated on Facebook, probably because it's more neighborhood focused and community built, where all I would talk about was me with pictures of my clients and pictures of their family and pictures of their home and in front of my truck and what I'm doing throughout the day and little short videos and pictures of me and the team and like anything I could find.
And if you can inject something fun into that, Brian, like everybody has a hobby or something that they're known for, something they like, right? Let's say you wear cowboy hats, right? You can be the cowboy plumber, right? It's like you post a video in your 10-gallon hat with the client. Hey, we just did whatever. People start to whatever that little thing is, right? They just start to remember, oh, he's the guy that posts that video about that. And then when they have a problem, you're a trusted face that they've seen over and over with dozens of pictures with other clients. You're going to be the one that they're going to call. Yeah, I see this all the time, in marketing, monitoring these Facebook groups. And it's like somebody will post, hey, I need an electrician or something, right? And then there's a gazillion, call this guy, call this guy, call that guy. What differentiates any of them, right? If you're the one that's always posting what you do and they know, like, and trust you, they're not going to go and just ask a random stranger. They're going to call the person that they see over and over.
Yeah, speaking of random strangers, Jim, that's another thing that comes to mind. So whether you're a technician or whether you're a shop tech, if you're driving a branded vehicle, the way that you drive is 100% influencing people's decisions about whether to call your company or not. And the way that you interact in public, not in a client's home, obviously in a client's home, like that makes a significant difference. But I think there's a silent witness that goes on when you're hitting the grocery store on your way home or when you're stopping by the gym in the morning or something like that. And people see you changing into that uniform or walking around the aisles or not pushing your shopping cart back into the shopping cart thing, like that type of stuff. People see that and they see who you work for and they see the uniform that you're wearing, and it can have influence, positive or negative. And in so many ways, I think it's easy for us to kind of be like, oh, I'm not on work hours. I'm not working. And so, I just go into doing whatever I want to do. But if you're repping the brand, if you got a shirt on or you're driving a vehicle, you're still in work hours, because what you're doing is 100% influencing the consumer's mindset around the brand.
Absolutely.
All right. So we've covered some of the big ones there, Jim. And the last one that I want to hit is the marketing team itself. What are some areas that the marketing department should really be focused on to drive leads?
It's like asking, what is the meaning of life? Yeah, I mean, performance by channel, right? How are leads converting, on a per channel basis, cost of marketing. I would focus on channel mix, right? How each channel is performing, what are the results, are things trending up, trending down? The cost of marketing is a percentage of revenue. And again, by channel, right? That tells you how much is it costing you to acquire a customer, and is that profitable, right? If you're spending 100% of revenue, on a certain marketing channel, those are not going to be profitable jobs, right? So those are the two biggies that I would look at.
For sure. That's helpful information, Jim. And we are all certainly in the trades in need of more leads. And there's always another way of figuring out how to get them. What I would encourage the listeners, whether you're a technician or a manager or an owner, is that what you do on a daily basis matters. Whether you're running calls right now, you have the opportunity to influence more leads. Whether you're actually in charge of the purse strings, you have the opportunity to spend the money wisely and train your team to really maximize on every lead that they run so that you can spend more money on more leads. And that's a really great way to kind of close things out today, is that everybody is responsible in the company for making sure that more leads are coming in. And before we wrap things up, Jim, something that can really be beneficial in terms of maximizing the leads and understanding more about business management and really even like developing teams and sales, sales proficiency, those types of things, is you are a big part of a Home Freedom event that is going on. So tell us about some of those things and the details about the upcoming dates.
Yeah, so I'm the CEO of Home Service Freedom, www.homeservicefreedom.com. We're a trade organization that helps contractors grow and scale their business, right? We run an annual conference called Freedom Event, and it's open to everybody, right? Owners, managers. We even have training and stuff for technicians. This year we have a sales training by none other than Mr. Brian Burton, part of the Waste No Day podcast.
Cue the applause. Cue the applause.
But yeah, our motto, Zig Ziglar once said, you can have everything in life if you help others get what they want, right? And, we've been very successful in our businesses. We have a great group of, owners committed to helping others be successful in theirs, right? And part of it is helping technicians be successful, better at their jobs so they can earn more money, help their company. And that's what freedom is about. So.
Yep, I've been there 3 of the last 4 years, I believe. We just couldn't make the schedule work for one of them, but it is the event that I make every year, no matter what. I'm a huge fan of it. We broke through so many plateaus going to that first one, Nate and I, when we worked together, when we went to that first one, and just made such cool relationships. This time, they're adding an amazing sales training component for technicians and salespeople, so day one, Wednesday, September 2nd, that will be me training an entire day. Day two, do you want to talk about the speakers going to be there, Jim?
Tons of great speakers, keynotes, Kevin O'Leary, Donald Trump Jr., Tommy Mello, industry panels, tons of great companies, big guys, Leland Smith, Paul Kelly, Ken Goodrich, Ellen Rohr. The list goes on, right? So it's an amazing event, and that sales training, there's a massive discount on right now. Normally, if you buy a 1 or 2 day sales training, thousands and thousands of dollars, it's something like a $300 upgrade on the general admission ticket for a full day of sales training. So if you're an owner or manager out there, this is an insanely cheap way to, get some amazing training for your people.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what we're going to do. We touched on it slightly in the beginning of part 1 of the first episode. What we're going to focus on for that one full day is exactly how to ask for a sale on every call, no matter what, to put yourself in the top 15% of salespeople across the United States, because 85% do not ask, according to the National Association of Sales Professionals. So automatically you're in the top 15% if you ask. We're going to role play the hell out of it. And then we are going to spend some time on exactly how to get yourself to the point where you can overcome something and ask again. And if time allows, we're going to get up to 4 times.
That's great context there, Brian. And thank you, Jim. If people are interested in learning more about the dates, the speakers, signing up, getting some tickets, where do they go?
All the information is on www.freedomevent.com. And it's September 3rd, 4th, 5th, and it's in Las Vegas.
Yeehaw.
Oh, did I say? I think I said September 2nd. Whatever it is. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. First Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in September. 3, 4, 5.
Freedomevent.com. It's all there.
Giddy up. Well, Jim, appreciate that. And also appreciate you joining us for another episode of Waste No Day. It was good to have you on and talk about some creative ideas of getting more calls on the board and really what to do to maximize them. This 2-part episode here hopefully has been beneficial to the listeners in terms of not only having the right mindset, but also becoming creative and optimistic about continuing to develop more lead channels so that everybody can win. Thank you so much for joining us, Jim, through these mini series.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Good to see you, buddy.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed this episode. That's a wrap for this one as we leave you here with some good takeaways for Jim. Whether you're an owner, a technician, or on the marketing team, or somebody in between, there's always opportunity for you to continue developing yourself and benefiting the company while you're doing that. We hope you take that challenge seriously as we continue to leave you with our weekly challenge as well, which is to wake up each and every morning and waste no day.